In this week's episode of First Look Weekly, I realized I've been playing a lot of board games lately. Luckily, this is not, but you play it as a board game, so it's the other way around. You play in a nice 3D environment with a little cat in a windowsill in what seems to be an atrium style room. And the game has quite some content maps already, and you start with 3 tutorial maps, which will be quite easy to go through. First you learn to place a city, add potato farms, a peasant huts around it, and then build a second city a bit further near a forest to get some wood, and then of course, as the title of the game suggests, let them trade, because you take 25% of all trade goods as revenue, which will be your primary income. In the second tutorial learn to research, which made me almost stumble a bit as I wasn't totally clear if I needed to research wool production before woodcutter production, but I got there in the end. And you also learned that upgrading existing buildings will help you expand, as low-level towns do not have much tiles around them where you can build on. And the third tutorial you learned to control the knight, which also functions as a scout. In later research you build barracks to train troops which will accompany the knight. It's pretty straightforward: build, expand, research and conquer, which is the golden set of all city builders. In Age of Empire fashion, every map gives you a goal to complete. For example, having a wood production of 70, that is your main quest. How you get there is usually with the help of side quests, but they are not required. I soon realized that it might not be as easy as it looked, as I had a hard time getting money flowing, until I realized one section of the tutorial had me auto selling and buying goods from the castle, which helps you set aside goods for later use, but also takes a chunk out of your money flow. The castle is the main hub that's already available in each map, and the king lives there. Research centers and barracks are built around the castle and not around your towns. Placing your towns will be very important, as it directly controls what you can build around it, and since you have a limited amount of towns, it's highly advised to not build all your towns on the plains or the forest and think ahead. But you also don't want to place them too far apart, as it will take the traders much more time to trade then, which can be sped up but still a waste of time. You can also construct roads and bridges, which will severely help you speed this up as well. This isn't really mandatory for tiles around the city, as peasants will go to the place of work anyway. Upgrading peasant huts will be important as well, to have more peasants available in each town, since they won't come from other towns to work in your workplaces. So just upgrading a workplace won't be enough, you will also need the people for it, which means balancing your housing and workplaces around each town. So let's start the next level called Fishy Business, and I can only assume it will be centered around fishing. Fish is a luxury resource and not required for them to stay, but will help you a lot in growing your city and getting more income. So I placed 2 towns, one for potatoes and one for lumber, and you don't have to specifically place around the city, but if you place one building next to your city, the next building can also be built around that building. I don't build the max right away, but a steady flow would be with 2 woodcutters and 2 potato farms, and for each 2 peasant huts. Your map may seem small, but darker tiles around the borders means they are unexplored, and your knight can scout them. The knight will have only limited amount of scout package with him, equal to the tiles he can explore. Luckily, he can just return to the castle to refill them, unless you're completely out, but then there is the provisioner, another building for around the castle. Beside that, the first order of business is to research a sheep farm to get wool going and a sawmill for planks. For that, a research center is of course needed near the castle. The milestone quest also orders to upgrade 2 cities to level 2, which is pretty handy as they have run out of expansion space after adding wool and lumber. When fish is finally scouted, 2 fisheries will be enough for now to secure a good income of fish and of course more trade money. You can activate 1 improvement per workplace. For example, the potato farm can activate collective farming, but it's quite useless for my setup as I built the potato farm separate by peasant huts. Luckily, upgrading the farm to the next level adds an extra slot and 50% more yield, but the problem is that I don't have enough peasants now to do so, since the peasant huts provide just 2 peasants as level 1 and the potato farms on level 1 also requires 2 peasants, but on level 2 you can get 3 peasants. So the next research is to upgrade the peasant homes. The castle is also now set to buy or reserve up to 26 fish that comes in. The whole system is a bit complicated, but you can force sell to cities from there as well. For research, I did notice sometimes it gets stuck a bit when it doesn't have the resources, but disabling and reactivating it later when you can and do have the resources will help you correcting this. After trading actively with the castle, the mission was complete, but I kept playing a bit longer to test some selling and buying. Next mission was allegedly the first real mission, so a quick setup, this time with the farms next to each other, And after setting up the first 2 cities, done the research for woodcutter, potato, fishery and peasant upgrades, it was time to focus on the main mission. It is my strong belief that the first improvement should be pre-selected on each workplace, but for now I keep forgetting it until it stays in my system. You can take money from the cities, but this will make the inhabitants less happy for a certain time. This can, however, help you grow fast. If the peasants have their luxury needs, they will start paying extra tax, so that is the first priority. Eventually, the missions will require a tower to be built, which doesn't do much by itself, it's just a mission objective. For this, stone is needed. The strain on the planks is quite high now, but luckily I have some planks saved up in the castle, which can now be retrieved. All this is just the early game. The next upgrade is to workers, which come with many more advanced buildings like mines, bakeries and urban development. The stage after that is citizens with high-class jewelry, better troops, forges and carpentry, and eventually the last upgrade to aristocrats. The missions are easily understandable, but it may be a bit tricky to follow the flow of your money. So don't spend more than you have, because your people may get unhappy fast if you milk them for money and ruin their savings. Trader speed is also an important upgrade and can be done each new era, because if one city needs to provide food for more than 4 cities, you need heavy transport routes. You have to set your knight once and it will keep scouting as long as it has the supplies until the entire map is revealed. A tavern can be built as well, which will be an alternative way to make money, but will cost up to 4 peasants, so can only be done if you have a surplus of peasants or you have a surplus of resources they make, so you can pull them from the workplaces. I will conclude this first look with this and leave the rest for you to explore. The game looks absolutely clean and plays fluently. The 3D map is neatly done as it generates more depth, but also will need some optimization later, because I can hear my PC screaming in agony from time to time, despite locking 60 FPS. I do recommend this beautiful game, which is a great way to relax on a Sunday morning. Thank you for watching, and I see you next week in the next First Look Weekly. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe.